To Facebook and I believe YouTube. Marilyn is coming in. And I just need one more minute to launch this to the synagogue page, which is probably what the beginning of every single one of these videos sounds like. Am I saying the same thing to myself as I type the date? October 8th, 2021. Posting. Peter, I know, Pete Sanchez, welcome. I know that we were going to see each other in person, and I messed up those plans by doing this remotely, but welcome back to the island. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. We are together as the Hebrew congregation of St. Thomas, even if we are all online this weekend. I appreciate your cooperation with this last minute shift. So we welcome one more, and may everybody feel well and be well. And we come together in celebration of coming together. I read recently of people who were struggling with the question of what to say here, because it says achim, brothers. So you'll notice that here, and Talia, if you want to shift up the Hebrew, you're welcome to. It also says achayot, which means sisters. Some congregations have shifted to saying shevet kulanu gam yachad, who we all dwell together. But in the meantime, we continue with the traditional wording from this psalm. Hine matov umanayim, behold how good and pleasant it is for all of us to come together. Talia.
Hine matov umanayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov umanayim, shevet achayot gam yachad. הנה מה טוב, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, שבת אחיות גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחיות גם יחד.
Well, that split the difference. Nicely done. Talia will be, by the way, with us in person next week. She has fall break this coming week, so she has chosen to return to the island to us. So we will be together in person next week. L'olam yehe adam yirei shamayim baseter v'galui. Umodeh al ha'emet v'dover emet bilvavo. Always should a person revere God in private and in public, acknowledge the truth, and speak the truth in thought and in deed. Kabbalat Shabbat, the psalms and songs with which we welcome Shabbat. Lechun ranana, from Psalm 95, come let us sing joyously to Adonai, and Shiru Adonai Shir Chadash from Psalm 96, sing unto God a new song.
לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה לאדוני. לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה לאדוני. נריע, נריע לצור אישנו, לקדמה פניו בתודה. נריע, נריע לצור אישנו, בזמרות נריע לו. לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה לאדוני. נרננה, לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה לאדוני. שירו לאדוני, שירו שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני, שירו שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני ברכו שמו, בסרו מיום ליום ישועתו, שירו לאדוני ברכו שמו, בסרו מיום ליום ישועתו, לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה לאדוני, לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה לאדוני.
So, friends, I do actually have something I want to share with you later tonight by way of a teaching, a sermon, a Dvar Torah. And the concept underlying, let me admit Julie here, the concept underlying my remarks later touches on this idea that's expressed in Psalm 97, verse 11, which is why I asked Talia to include it. It was not in our original outline for tonight until I decided what I wanted to speak about later. Or zarua latzadik, ulishrei lev simcha. There is a kind of light that is not regular light, something that is set aside for the tzaddik, for the righteous, radiance for the upright. Or zarua latzadik, ulishrei lev simcha.
Or zarua latzadik, ulishrei lev simcha. Or zarua latzadik, ulishrei lev simcha. Or zarua latzadik, ulishrei lev simcha. Ulishrei lev simcha. Or zarua Kol Yisrael lev simcha, Kol Yisrael lev simcha. Or zarua latzadik, Kol Yisrael lev simcha. Or zarua latzadik, Kol Yisrael lev simcha.
And from Psalm 99, exalt Adonai our God and bow toward God's holy hill, for Adonai our God is holy. Romamu Adonai Eloheinu.
Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lahar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lahar kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lahar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lahar kodsho.
I'm used to saying the page number here, but from the page in front of us, Lecha Dodi, the Taubman setting, not the one Cantor Zell introduced, but the original Taubman setting, Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala. We continue with stanzas 1, 2, 5, and 9. And as we reach stanza 9, if you're able to do so where you are located, we ask if you will then rise and face the door, the entrance, whatever the entrance is to your dwelling, and for the 9th stanza, which we will reach in a few moments.
לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. 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 שמור וזכור בדיבור אחד, השמיענו אל המיוחד, אדוני אחד, שמו אחד, לשם ותפארת לך אדוני, לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי מקור הברכה מראש נקבלה. סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה, לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. התעוררי, כי באורך אורי, שתדברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה, לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. בואי ושלום, עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמונה יום סגולה. בואי חלה, לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה.
I thought we had a reading here. I think it's after Hatzi Kaddish, but thank you, Talia, for that Lecha Dodi. And I almost knocked over my green screen when I tried to get up, so I stayed safely in place. But all of us have individual circumstances when we are watching from home. We continue with Hatzi Kaddish on the page in front of us.
יתגדל ויתקדש שם רבה, ועל מה דברך נוטה ונניח מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון, ובחייתכון בית ישראל. בגלה, ובזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך, לעלם ולעלמי עלמיה, יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתעטר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי לקודשה בריחו, לילה מן קורבך ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, תמירן בעלמה, ואמרו Amen.
Entrances to holiness are everywhere. The possibility of ascent is all the time, even at unlikely times and in unlikely places. There is no place on earth without the presence. Any setting of Baruch Hu.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Leolam Vaed.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Holy One of blessing, sovereign of existence, your word brings on the evening, and your wisdom opens heaven's gates. Your mind spans the arc of time and the cycle of the seasons. You are the physics behind the stars on their journey through the skies. Author of all distinction, you roll light away from darkness and darkness away from light. You cause the day to pass and bring on the night, separating day from night. You are the force of nature. May a sense of divine order guide us now and always. Blessed is Adonai, whose word makes evening fall. And time reverses its course, today flowing back into yesterday. Like a river enclosed at its mouth, each of us has been a slave in Egypt, soaked straw and clay with sweat, and crossed the sea dry-footed. You too, stranger, this year in fear and shame, next year in virtue and justice. Unending is your love for your people, the house of Israel. Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts have you taught us. Therefore, O God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and rejoice in your Torah and mitzvot forever. For they are our life and the length of our days, and we will reflect upon them day and night. Then your love shall never depart from us. Baruch atah Adonai ohev amo Yisrael. Blessed are you, eternal one, who loves your people, Israel.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Eloh Nafuto Leolam Vaed. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובדרכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם נאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Adonai Elohechem emet. Doubting is but the forefront of faith, a faith in the infinite growth of an unbounded creation. A doubting age is one of restlessness and discontent with what is current. A doubt is an idea that is still alive. To doubt that the past has uncovered all things is to express faith that many things are still to be uncovered. To doubt that we have grown to our full stature and knowledge is to express faith that we may develop into beings of such power and dignity that we cannot as yet imagine what shall be.
I'm muted. Apologies. נדר בקודש, לא ראיתי lot אוסף אלה, לא ראיתי lot אוסף אלה. יא בבא בם בם בם, יא בבא בם בם, יא בבא בם בם bam, ya ba 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 bim bam, ay 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 ay, ya ba 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 bim bam, ay 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 ay, ya ba 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 bim bam. מעלכותך ראו בניך, וכיים לפני משה ומרים, זה לי ידעו ויאמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. ונאמר כיפת אדוני את יעקב, וגלם יד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני.
Baruch hu u'baruch shemo.
כל ישראל.
Amen. Mashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, v'hamidenu shomerenu l'chaim, ufrosalenu sukat shlomecha. Grant our eternal God that we may lie down in peace, and raise us up, our sovereign, to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your good counsel, and for your name's sake be our help. Shield us from hatred and plague. Keep us from war and famine and anguish. Subdue our inclination to evil. God, our guardian and helper, our gracious and merciful ruler, give us refuge in the shadow of your wings. Guard our coming and our going, that now and always we have life and peace. Baruch atah Adonai, shomer amo Yisrael la'ad. Blessed is Adonai, guardian of your people Israel, forever. As we continue with Vishamra.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני, עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
Shkoch, Talia, and thank you. Let's see the tambourine. Yay. We are a people in whom the past endures, in whom the present is inconceivable without moments gone by. The Exodus lasted a moment enduring forever. What happened once upon a time happens all the time. We continue with the Amidah, the Tefillah. We begin with the introduction. If you are able to do so in your own homes, if you know which direction is Jerusalem, we face Jerusalem for this prayer. At the moment, I have been facing my computer screen for this prayer.
Adonai, Sifatai Tiftach, Ufi Agitei Latecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah. האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, אומר חסדים טובים וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואמהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומדומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, נאמן אתה לחיות הכל, ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם בחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, קדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
We continue in personal prayer.
Say Adonai Eloheinu, Le'amecha Yisrael, u'tfilato be'ahava תקבל אשובך ציון. Let's see. Let's see.
We continue in silence.
Shalom Ra. Oh, never mind. Sorry. Ose shalom bimrama. Uyase shalom aleinu. Ve'al kol Yisrael. Ve'al kol yoshvei tevel. Ve'imru. Amen. Ose shalom bimrama. Uyase shalom aleinu. Ve'al kol Yisrael. Ve'al kol yoshvei tevel. Ve'imru. Shalom Bimrama. Uyase shalom aleinu. Ve'al kol Yisrael. Ve'al kol yoshvei tevel. Ve'imru. Amen. Uyase shalom aleinu. Ve'al kol Yisrael. Ve'al kol yoshvei tevel. Ve'imru. Amen.
Mishaberach Avraham, Avotenu Avraham, Yitzhak, v'Yaakov. Imotenu Sarah Rivka Rachel v'Leah. V'yivarech v'yirapeh et hacholim ha'ela. O God, who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, send your blessing and healing, your comfort and your hope to the following of our friends: Susie Grubinik, Rachel Chorazim, Michael Krynek, Sandra Rowland, Ben Yates Lansky. Any other names in the prayer for healing that you would like to share at this time?
Steve Rockstein,
Bryn McAndrew, Alan Kossoff, Cyril Eck.
Jadel Green.
Colleen Feldman.
Nan Thompson.
Tutos,
Aparna Nagpal,
Kim Kadingo.
Baruch atah Adonai Rofech Olim. We praise you, O God, who helps us heal, who brings us comfort.
What's he doing on there?
Source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Imotenu mekor bracha leotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
I'm going to stop the screen share in a moment. But before we do, I want you to look at the picture here in front of us. Given that this is a depiction of Noah's Ark, given the time frame that took place, given that the Ark, if it took place, is made of wood, do you see something anomalous or odd in this picture? Although it does reflect the biblical tradition accurately. Anyone?
Fire.
What?
Fire inside.
Can you see what I see? It's not necessarily fire, but it is light. Now, it can't be fire. It's a wooden ark, right? And it's not anything like electrical lights are not part of the technology of the time. So there is something odd in this picture. But what is odd here definitely reflects the biblical text. I am going to stop the share and remove Talia from the spotlight for a minute or two. It didn't take medieval mystics or particle physics professors in the modern age playing with prisms to know that there is something strange about light. Obviously, sending something that appears to be a clear white bar of light through a prism reveals something very different. But already in the biblical tradition, there is something very weird about light. We know this from last week's Torah portion, and we mentioned it during Torah study. There is something really quite strange about the fact that the first act of creation on the part of God, Vayehi Or, let there be light. And then there's a mavdil, a havdalah, a separation between the light and the dark. And there was evening and there was morning the first day, except for the following problem: that the sun and the moon are not created until day 4. So even according to the biblical tradition, what was that light? There are 2 other places where there is something strange about light. 3. There is the tradition of the 10 plagues. One of the plagues being darkness, but there's this strange line. But in the houses of the Israelites, there was light. What is this? Like, all WAPA went out except in Jewish homes, right? It's, for those of you who are off island, WAPA is our notoriously unreliable power service. During this service, I got a text, which I do not like getting during services, announcing a power outage for tomorrow, planned power outage. But it's the unplanned ones that throw everybody. That's just bizarre. And so the mystical tradition is that the same light that was created on the first day before the sun, somehow that light is what shone in the homes, lit the homes of the Israelites, while all of Egypt was in darkness. There is the verse from Psalms, which we sung earlier, light is sown for the righteous. What do we mean by that? But there is a very strange verse in this week's Torah portion as well, in the description of the ark. And in some of what I am about to share with you, I am deeply indebted to my colleague, friend, and someone I admire very much, the head of Artza, Rabbi Josh Weinberg, for his Dvar Torah in the Artza newsletter this week. He spoke about a verse which I mentioned in Torah study last week. It is the verse about the ark. Sohar ta'aseh lateva, ve'el ama tichalena milmala, ufeta hateva, betzida tasim tachtit shnayim ushloshim ta'aseh. Make a sohar in the ark and terminate it within a cubit of the top. Put the entrance to the ark at its side. Make it with bottom, second, and third decks. The question is, what is a sohar? And the reason why it is hard to translate is because a sohar is, those of you who know me know where I'm going with this, a hapax legomena. What is a hapax legomena? Well, a hapax legomena is a word or a root that appears only one time in the entire Bible. The problem with understanding what it means is that we don't have any native speakers of biblical Hebrew, like that opening scene from Woody Allen's movie Annie Hall, where he gets into a fight with an argument with somebody behind him in line about a Marshall McLuhan movie, and he says, well, I happen to have Marshall McLuhan over here. We can't just pull in a native biblical Hebrew speaker and say, what does this word mean? It's a limited corpus, and the way you understand what a word means is from context, and you compare it to other things where it appears in other places. So that's hard to do with words that appear only one time. It sounds very much like the word Zohar, which is the foundational book of Jewish mysticism, but which we know means splendor or brilliance. And so there are different traditions. One tradition is that the word Sohar means a window. That's what it sounds like. You build it a certain distance from the top of the deck, and it will be then a window onto the world. You are not entirely closed off. In protecting yourself, you are connected to the calamity that is going on outside. There is a halakha. There is a piece of Jewish law which commands us when building batei knesset, synagogues, we are not allowed to build a synagogue that does not have a window. We are not allowed to close ourselves off from the world completely. There is another tradition that somehow it is a kind of stone, and it is infused with light. And that is what provided light to the Israelites in the darkness. This is an infusion into certain stones from the primordial light that was created before the sun was created, the first 3 days of creation. And that is what you saw shining from the ark, not fire that would burn the ark to bits, right? That is what you saw in the picture. What does all this mean for us? What all this is, what I was planning on sharing with you anyway, but then I came across Rabbi Weinberg's Dvar Torah. And he writes, in 1979, Israeli pop star Mati Kaspi composed a song for Yehudit Ravitz, Lakachat et yadi biyadcha, you took my hand in yours, in which there was a well-known lyricist who wrote a line, Devarim sheroim misham, lo roim mikan. Things that you see from there, you can't see from here. Rabbi Weinberg does a very good job. I recommend to you this Dvar Torah of giving great examples. I will not belabor it for very much longer, except to say, we are a community, we are a country, we're a world divided by very different perspectives. Dvarim she roim misham, lo roim mikan. Things we see from here, from there, we don't see from here. Maybe this primordial light, this light that is sown for the righteous, is not just a window onto the world, but it is the kind of light that lets us see all angles, almost like a cubist painting, a Picasso, where everything is depicted all at once. It is maybe the kind of light that allows us to see the perspectives we don't normally get. I spend a lot of time venting at CNN and MSNBC, not in disagreement with them, but in shock at the state of the world. Maybe there is a light that can help me understand those who are very different from me. I know that that is the case with people, with places where they have made peace after times of strife and conflict. I know it is possible to see the point of view of others. The Sohar, the window, or the primordial light, the light that is created on the first day before even the sun and the moon. That is Or Zarua la Tzaddik. That is the light that is sown for the righteous. That is the ability to have a perspective and perception on the world around us that allows us to see around the shadows and into the hearts and souls of one another. Shabbat Shalom. I will add Talia back in. No, not yet, Talia. Marilyn, I know you are with us, so if you have anything to say, I am looking for Marilyn. I will spotlight you. There you go.
Well, I really don't have anything to say after that sermon because it was unbelievably profound and it's leaving me with a great deal to think about, especially the idea that I have to maintain a sort of understanding of other people's perspectives, not just my own. That being said, Shabbat Shalom to everyone. I hope you all stay safe. We in the Virgin Islands are being blessed, and I say that in quotes, with Saharan dust, which means that we will be protected from hurricanes for a while, but God knows what happens with asthma and all the other stuff. So that being said, this is a crazy world, and I love the idea that I can come to Shabbat services and get a new perspective and get a great feeling of what's going on. Thank you.
And thank you. Maybe the Sahara dust is why I am sick, but it is very interesting to be able to lead services while sick from my own home, but not appearing to be in my own home. And the other thing that I want to say is, and I hope we stay on for a moment after the service and after the live stream is off, but to many of you who are here right now, you may have been with us for Shabbat services for some time, but I haven't had the chance to see you for quite some time because unless I perch a computer up on the Bima when I'm up there, I have the tech person who knows who's on Zoom, but it's too many things all at once to monitor. So this is wonderful for me to be able to see familiar faces from so many different places. So Shabbat Shalom to all of you. We do have services tomorrow morning. I'm going to add Talia back to the spotlight here at 10 o'clock, assuming I hopefully will be able to do so, but I'll just take more Advil and tea and power through because this is a remarkably interesting Torah portion for us to study. Services are about a half hour long, and then we go to the Torah portion of the week, this remarkable portion of the story of Noah and also the Tower of Babel. Next week, services are at 6:30 p.m. in person in the synagogue, we hope, but also streamed. Talia will be with us in person. So we're going to go back to the Lechuna Ranana rhythm and blues version that she had introduced to us right before she went back to college, and a couple of other of her favorites for next week. So also our Tuesday evening class continues. If anybody wants to come in to Foundations for a Thoughtful Judaism, even if you missed the first session, we did record it. And so I can send you the first session. You're welcome to join us moving forward for the remaining 5 sessions of this amazing Shalom Hartman Institute class, Foundations for a Thoughtful Judaism. So we continue in a moment with Aleinu. As soon as I figure out how to share the screen again, I think that's on. And there's Marilyn. Hi, Marilyn. And a reminder to connect with us in one way or another. And of course, a reminder to, this is the number for the Virgin Islands, but to please, please, please get the vaccine. And now even if eligible, the booster. We continue with Aleinu.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים, לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. שעונות השמיים ויוסר הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגובהי מרומים. הוא אלוהינו אינו, אמת מלכנו ופסולתו, ככתוב בתורתו. וידעת היום בהשבות אל לבביך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת. אינו ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
There are stars whose radiance is visible on this earth, though they have long since ceased to exist. There are people whose light, whatever we mean by light, that essence, that radiance of their selves continues to shine for us, though they are no longer among us. These lights which shine in the dark of the night, they light the way for humankind. We remember at this time those of our congregation's beloved whose yahrzeit occurs on this Shabbat: Paul B. Burkowski, Sarah Berman, Herbert Cohen, Moses Davis, Jacob Ginsburg, Ruth Goodman, Ruth Grossman Davis, Bruce E. Kimmelman, Ann Klein, Bertha Zenkoff. We observe yahrzeit for the following high members and those dear to our high members: Max Bernstein, Jacob Borger, Michael Brudner, Jack Cohen, Annette Daneko, Joshua Davidson, Nettie Dykesler, Florence Dim, Ruth Elias, Emmanuel Falk, Bertha Farbman, Harry Feldman, William Feller, Florence Felsenberg, William Folman, Hinka Gerstberg, Ruben Gertz, Stephen Ginsberg, Samuel Goldfarb, Belle Gordon, Bill Grossman, Sigmund Heimovitz, Ethel Herman, Abraham Horowitz, Sam Kesner, Ann Klein, Cato de Zucker, Phoebe Kupperman, Jacob Kurtz, Rose Landau, Arthur Lichterman, Rose London, Charlotte Meister, Isidore Paker, Sidney Pomerantz, Irving Pullman, Esther Reisberg, Leonard Rothman, Abe Scharf, Ralph Schloss, Frieda Schneider, Herman Sherman, Dr. Alan Silverstein, Sam Spiegelman, Ruth Steinberg, Flora Vogel, Steve Wagner, Irving Wallace, Linda Simon, Jean Wicknen, Ellis Zimmerman. During this period of Shloshim, Elliot Mack Davis. And before I continue with recent deaths, are there any of you who are here to say Kaddish for someone whose name I did not mention, or any of the names which I might have mispronounced?
Robert Steverson.
Ruth Novick.
With sorrowing hearts, we mentioned two who were laid to rest in recent days: Dr. Mindy Patakoff-Weinman and Dr. Stephen Richardson. Memories of all of our loved ones are with us. Our griefs and sympathies are mingled as we turn now to Kaddish Yatom, the mourner's Kaddish. And if you are able to do so, please rise. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'alma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, v'agalau v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah v'orach leolam olmei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ara v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadara v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dekudasha barichu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechamata, dameran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, Chaim Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, u'yaseh shalom, Aleinu, v'al kol Yisrael, v'al kol Yoshvei Tevel, v'imru. Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn in our midst and wherever they may be, all those who are suffering the pain of loss everywhere. And together, let us say, Amen. We conclude tonight with the singing of any version of Adon Olam that Talia would like. Talia had about, a few hours notice that she was going to carry the whole service. We had planned on having her Zoom in for just 3 pieces. So she'll do that maybe 2 weeks from now when she's back at school. Next week, she'll be with us in person. But Talia, any setting of Adon Olam that you would like, your choice. But unmute. Thank you.
All right, let's do the one that y'all know a bit better, but I'm still getting used to. I like it though. Adon Olam asher malach b'terem kol yitzir nivra leit nasa v'chefetzo kol azay melech shemo nikra ve'acharei kichlot hakol לבדו ימלוך נורא, והוא היה, והוא הווה, והוא יהיה בתפארה, והוא אחד, אין שני, להמשלו, לכך ברא, בלי ראשית, בלי תכלית, ולא העוז, והמשרה, והוא אלי, וחי גואלי, וצוח עבדי, בעת צרה, והוא ניסי ומנוס לי, מנת כוסי, ביום אקרא בידו, הפקיד רוחי, בעת אישן והעירה, ועם רוחי יביאתי אדוני לי ולא אירא.
May we all find the light we need this Shabbat to enlighten ourselves, to enlighten each other, to be of love and support and inspiration to one another. Shabbat Shalom.